Welcome back to another episode of recapping 90 Day Fiance. Today we're covering season 10, episode 14, and when I tell you that this episode made me mad, this episode made me mad as hell. I seriously sat there thinking, sometimes murder's worth it. So let's just get right into this shit. Sit down, buckle up, and let's all go for a ride. We are back in LA again with Rob and Sophie. Quick refresher. Last episode, Rob kept bitching and moaning, saying, "Ugh, my life is so much more difficult than yours, Sophie. Nobody understands me." So Sophie and her mom leave him to brood in the corner by himself before Claire has a chance to crush him. Present day, Sophie and Claire in the car heading to lunch, and Claire is like, "How are you so calm right now?"
Aren't you furious?
I am furious.
And let's be honest, it's practice. Sophie has had so much practice keeping calm and carrying on during Rob's many little tantrums. Claire goes on to say that Rob is not evil, but his self-esteem is basically non-existent, and he will keep dragging Sophie down to his level so she feels just as bad as he does.
I guarantee within 6 months you won't be the Sophie that I know. You'll be depressed, all your little sparkle will go, all your dreams will go.
And I 100% agree. Rob is always talking about how he's gonna bring Sophie down to earth, how he's gonna humble her, and he is always shooting her down and talking negatively about the things that she wants. The two of them sit down to eat, and Sophie gets a text from Rob. You would think that he would text her to be sending her an apology, but no. He sends her a video of a nice car and just says, "This could be us." She knows that already, dude. She's upset because you only seem to know that whenever you think she's gonna leave you.
He's like panicking. He's gone from doing nothing, playing the victim, to go, "Hey, this is what we're gonna get, babe."
Now, this is what pisses me off about Rob. He shames Sophie from coming from money and for wanting nice things, and he keeps dragging her all the way down to the bottom of the ocean with his negativity and all of his judgments, and right when she's about to run out of air and pass into her next life, he grabs her, says all the things she wants to hear, brings her right back to the surface so she could breathe again, and then just does the whole damn thing over and over again. Claire says Rob is clearly panicking and is now just doing damage control. Sophie agrees with her and says it has always been like this. He knows he did something wrong, so he just reaches out later as if nothing happened instead of saying sorry. Sophie tells us that she would forgive Rob if he just says he's sorry.
I understand people make mistakes, which is fine, as long as people apologize and admit that they're wrong sometimes, which is completely fine.
Absolutely, people make mistakes. But if they keep making the same mistake without even an attempt at improving, then that kind of waters down the apology to not really mean anything. Claire asks Sophie how close she is to leaving him, and Sophie says that she is 50-50. Claire says that if the two actually do get married, she really hopes it works out because all she can see is Sophie being very unhappy and having her bright light be snuffed out. Sophie gets back to her mother's hotel and she tells her that Rob has not texted her since their text messages at lunch.
What does that mean, though? Is he really angry or is he just being a knob?
And Sophie says that she will not be the one to reach out to him first, and she starts to doubt whether this wedding is even going to happen. On the flip side, Rob is in the laundromat doing, laundry. He is upset that Sophie left with her mother instead of staying behind and defending him.
Man, I just wish Sophie would have my back and just not take advantage of every opportunity to point out my flaws.
Tarai and Ty meet up with him and Rob vents to them. They ask him how he's feeling, and Rob says he's feeling a little nervous, but in a bad way. He goes on to explain to them that Sophie's mom came in last night and obviously things did not go well because she does not like him, because Sophie's been in her ear constantly telling her all of the negatives. And I don't know how to tell him this, but if he wasn't so shitty, there wouldn't be as many negative things to be in Claire's ear about. He says Claire told him that he is not a real man because he should have held off on the relationship until he was in a better spot.
A real man would have held off on the relationship for a year to get a new spot and then continue the relationship.
Oh my gosh, this man really hears only what he wants to hear. Claire did not say that. She said that a real man would have told Sophie that they have to be long distance for a little bit longer. Like, they cannot be going to Playa to be paying rent for 2 different locations. Anyway, Rob is hurt because Claire said that he's not a real man. I know I give Rob a lot of shit and it is well deserved. But deep in his heart, I know he's aware of his flaws, and there seems to be this genuine desire to get better. He just has that nasty temper, that ego, and that pride, which is all really hard hurdles to overcome. So I can absolutely understand, even though he lashes out and acts really shitty, that he's upset. No matter who you are, it has got to be hurtful and really tiring to constantly only hear how you suck. Rob's friends ask him on a scale of 1 to 10 where he sits on the whole getting married thing.
10 being I'm sure we'll get married. 1 being like, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm like a 4.
His friends are doubtful that they will even get married, and they say that if they do get married, it is definitely going to end up in divorce. And now being all empathetic towards Rob for being sad, he makes me instantly regret it by dropping this gem.
I feel like Sophie has always assumed that we're gonna get married, but I've told her I have all the way up until I say I do.
And I'm just like, was that really necessary? Rob could really benefit from knowing that he does not have to say every single thought that crosses his mind. Moving on, we are back in Kentucky with Clayton and Anali, so let's go ahead and roll that recap. Last episode, Clayton and Anali finally did the nasty after having an honest and emotional conversation about the state of their relationship. They also asked Clayton's sister to plan the bachelor party, and I mean, who are we kidding? They basically asked her to plan the rest of their wedding. Clayton and his mom are on their way back home from the pet store, and Clayton is visibly stressed because with the upcoming wedding, he feels like he still has a lot of planning left to do, and his sister Brandy, who said she would help, has been ignoring him. Violet asked Clayton how his trip was, and he says, oh, it was awesome. I got to meet Cameron, which was super cool. And Violet says that she's so glad that he got to travel, but she is really sad because the two of them have hardly had any time to talk with everything that's been going on recently.
I know there's a lot going on, and there's been a lot of changes in the house.
She says she does not have a problem with Anali, and then goes on to talk about all of the problems she has with Anali.
Trying to go to sleep, and all the lights were on, and talking and cooking, and then leaving everything laying out.
Clayton says that he can sense a lot of tension between his mom and Anali, mostly coming from his mom's side.
She thinks that Annalie should be speaking more English, cooking for me more often.
Yeah, Annalie would absolutely benefit from learning English in America because she'd be able to communicate without needing someone constantly there to translate for her. But I kind of have a feeling that is not why Violet is saying she wants her to speak more English. She goes on to say things like, oh, it'd be really nice if Annalie cooked an American dish like once a week.
I'd feel better if I could just see once a week cook, something American. Where's some cheeseburgers at?
And that she just wants to know that her son is being taken care of.
She'll just go in there and making a little chicken and chicken and chicken and chicken. And he likes beef,
Clayton says he's figured that they would both have more patience with each other, and she says, I don't have a problem with anybody. Everyone gets along fine. Clayton's mom is hella passive-aggressive. She says, all I hear is Spanish, and I wouldn't join in, but And I'm like, then don't worry about it, bro. If you don't plan on jumping in on a conversation with Annalie, then why do you give a crap if you guys can communicate with each other? You're not planning on communicating with her. Also, if you want Annalie to learn English so you can understand her, you do realize that there is an option for you to learn Spanish. Clayton is trying really hard to respect his mother and not offend her while also defending Annalie. And he's doing as well as he can. But his mother gets really defensive and she feels like they are trying to force her out of the house.
Yeah, if I had a place to go tomorrow, I'd go, because I have a feeling that's what you're trying to do.
Clayton tells us that his mother has a very defensive personality, and oftentimes she doesn't know when she is part of the problem. Well, she's in good company. Neither does anyone else in this show. He goes on to tell us that his mother will need to find a new place to live on her own, which snaps for Clayton for saying that. Now, back at home, Annalie is upset that Clayton put one of his dogs on the bed, and this is my first time really seeing the dog. Oh my God, feed that dog less. That dog is not supposed to look like the boulder that almost squashed Indy. Annalie is nitpicking at small things like he doesn't know where the toothbrush is, he wants to pack his Rubik's Cube to play with. And at first I was like, oh man, she's really digging into the tiny things. And then she says that she gets frustrated that he does everything last minute, like how he still hasn't found an officiant for their wedding. That's happening in 3 days.
No estoy tan preocupado por el juez porque cualquier persona puede ser.
I do not care if you can get an officiant license in a matter of minutes online. It is hella rude to ask someone to officiate your wedding with only 72 hours notice. I would absolutely be freaking out if I was Anali. But then Anali asks Clayton if he's found someone to do her hair and makeup for the wedding. And I am like, oh my God, girl, are you doing anything for this wedding? He says worst case scenario, his sister Brandy can do it, and she gets really upset that he even thinks that this is an option.
No, Clayton, es un día especial, no es cualquier maquillaje o algo así.
I'm a little confused because at first I thought, why doesn't Anali reach out to vendors and just ask if they have Spanish speakers? But then they kind of have this argument where Clayton says, I didn't know I was going to have to plan this wedding alone. And then Anali says that he doesn't let her do anything and she has to just keep having to go to him to ask him if something is done. And then Clayton says, well, you can't speak English, so how are you going to make calls to these vendors? And Anali says, I can text. So the way that I'm understanding everything, I think Anali wants to help, but Clayton keeps telling her that she can't help, and then he gets frustrated that she's not helping, right? What is happening? I don't know. This episode was really confusing for Clayton and Anali for me. Clayton's mom overhears them arguing and she's like, man, there's a lot of fast Spanish speaking going on. This amount of fighting is not normal. And I'm like, ma'am, first of all, they have a wedding happening in 72 hours that is not anywhere near finished being planned. This level of fighting is absolutely normal. Having your mother living in your closet like she's Harry freaking Potter, however, if it isn't clear, I don't like Clayton's mom. Clayton heads out to the living room where his mom is and she asks him what the hell is going on inside.
What's going on in there?
I don't know. She's not happy with me.
Anali can hear them talking smack about her, and she is very uncomfortable. She says her English may not be good, but she knows enough to know what's going on. Clayton tells his mom it would have been nice to have more help with the wedding, but Anali can't speak English, so... And I'm like, man, that's a really shitty thing to do, because it sounds like she's willing to struggle through the language barrier, but you won't let her. Anali comes out, Clayton tries to kiss her, for some reason. She says that she thinks she understood the conversation they just had, and he clarifies that he was just telling his mom if she spoke a little bit more English, she could have helped him with some of the calls. Anali says that she still tries to help by making him lists so that he knows what they need, what they have, what they don't have, what things need to get done, because he will not communicate with her about the wedding otherwise. Clayton says that it's not his fault and then goes on to tell us that Anali is very good at gaslighting.
Anali's really good at gaslighting. If it doesn't feel good or feel right to her, it's still my fault.
The two pack up the car to head to Indiana, and Clayton is bringing his goddamn guinea pigs.
¿Vas a llevar a tu school?
Yeah, mis cuis.
Anali asks again what him and his mom were talking about back at home, and he reiterates, it would be nice if you knew English so you could help, but it's just me and my sister doing everything. Anali tells us that she's frustrated because she is learning English, but Violet is criticizing her for not learning it fast enough. And if Violet were in her shoes, she would not learn to speak a lick of Spanish. And that, my friends, is 100% a rock fact. Clayton and Anali both agree that they just want to let things go so that they can enjoy the wedding. They get to their huge rental home in Indiana, and Clayton looks inside a closet and jokes that they could put his mom in there.
Hay un closet. No, pensé que por mi mamá, un closet.
Oye, qué malo.
Brandy arrives and they start talking wedding talk.
He asked me to find a llama or an alpaca, which I think is absurd. I couldn't find one, but I did try.
She asks what decorations Clayton has, and he says plates and flowers. She asks if he has an officiant, and he says no, but it does not matter because anyone can be an officiant.
I mean, I can ask someone at the wedding. They are definitely available.
Oh my God.
Is this man fucking for real right now? Brandy is aghast. She tells us that she knows Clayton's gonna ask her to find one because it's easy, but no, she will not be doing it.
I will leave. I will act like I have diarrhea. Anything. I'm out.
So Brandy says, oh, so everyone gets to enjoy this wedding that only I'm stressing about. And then Clayton tells her, well, I mean, it's our wedding, so we should get to enjoy it?
Clayton. You.
You, Clayton.
Yeah, you, Clayton. Anali asks if Brandy has prepared anything for the bachelorette party. Brandy says that she wanted to have a few people over for snacks and just have a little bonfire out back. Anali is like, okay. But Brandy was just being a duplicitous little minx. She tells us that they're gonna be some sexy-ass strippers wearing nothing but their socks. Onwards to Justin and Nikki. Fair warning, I almost threw my laptop out the damn window because of Justin. I hate them as a couple. Let's just run a little recap because I love to relive my nightmares. Last episode, Justin tried to convince Nikki into a threesome again, and he vehemently denies her when she says if he gets another girl, then she should get another guy because with another guy, he won't be the one doing the porking. We're back to our current timeline, and Justin still can't understand why Nikki is so against the threesome.
When I speak with Nikki about threesome, she's very jealous. I don't know.
Oh my God, how does he not get it? It is not her being jealous when you say, can we bring in another girl for me to touch because I do not want to touch you anymore. That's not her being jealous. That's just you being an asshole. They are on their way to go horseback riding, and we start to see Justin show off his quote-unquote masculine side, which basically just boils down to him gaslighting and then yelling commands at her like she's a fucking dog.
Be here. Focus it. Learn how to be in healthy relationship. Learn.
Did this man just order her to learn how to be in a healthy relationship? Ooh, I can feel an everything wrong with Justin Igor video coming up.
Little steps. Do little steps. In us, for us. Not thinking only about yourself.
Oh my God, is this what Justin Igor thinks being a man is? Being cold, delusional, frustratingly hypocritical?
I don't think all about myself. I do think about you a lot, and I do a lot in our relationship.
Maybe in your dreams.
Ding, 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 this just in. Justin Igor is not actually a man. He is just a giant turd in the shape of a man.
If I take in control the masculine part of our relationship, everything will be in balance again.
This man is telling her that she needs to learn how to be in a healthy relationship. He goes on to say that he thinks a virtual relationship worked way better for Nikki because at least then she talks about how much she misses him. But now that they're together, he doesn't ever see that side of her. And I'm like, wait, are you surprised? She has to deal with your dumb ass every minute of every day now. Of course she doesn't miss you. What is there to miss? Nikki starts to cry, which, props to you, girl. I would have already been in jail for pushing him out that damn car and then riding over his body a few times and going, ooh, every time we hit that bump. Justin keeps saying, you know, what are you doing for this relationship? And Nikki's like, what do you even mean? And he's like, oh, well, this morning I had to cook, I had to clean, I even had to take out the garbage. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Giving the keys to the city. National fucking treasure over here. Cooked, cleaned, and took out the garbage this one time. Anyway, God, I fucking forgot about the horses. That's the whole reason why we're here. They arrive at the horseback riding class, and Justin does not fall off and get trampled, so, you know, that sucks. They talk about their relationship, and Nikki wants to push away their differences to just focus on their love. Justin finally apologizes, even though he doesn't know what he's apologizing for. I mean, he apologizes for hurting her, but like, if you don't know why what you said is hurting her, what are we really doing here, guys? What do we really learn? They make up, and Nikki tells us that she does not think that she can do any better than him, and that she truly believes that they are soulmates. Okay, all right, sure, be soulmates. You aren't wholemates, and that seems to be the argument y'all have been having for the last 4 episodes. Let's head back to my neck of the woods. So we are in Rochester with Manuel and Ashley. And Ashley is surprising Manuel with a little adventure up to Niagara Falls because Manuel has constantly talked about wanting to go there and he is so freaking hyped about it.
Mira, esto no me va a creer mi familia donde ellos están.
Now, I used to be like, oh, Niagara Falls, like, yeah, so it's a waterfall, like, I don't know why people are making a big deal out of it, but then I went last year and it was really cool, really beautiful. I had such a good time. If you ever get the opportunity to go, I highly recommend it. Ashley is super happy that he's enjoying himself and says that she really hopes this trip helps him adjust to Rochester life a bit more. She brings up their argument from the other day and she asks if he thinks he's ready to make that adjustment to life in the States. And he says, yeah, he's ready. And then he kind of ruins the moment by bringing up money again.
Que no quiero es adaptarme a tu cultura, que dinero que tengo, gastar.
Ashley says that he has this image in his head of her just like spending money constantly. And she points out that Manuel put her in this situation of having to constantly spend money because he did not save any money to bring to the States. He saw no reason to. Manuel gets frustrated and does what he always does. He storms off, says he doesn't want to talk because she's not going to understand him. And so she chases after him and he says he does not want to talk about money, even though he is the one who brought it up. They settle down and Ashley says that they argue about a lot of stupid things and they still have a lot of work to do in their relationship, but despite that, she's willing to say okay and have his back and fight for their relationship. And she asks if he can promise to do the same for her. Manuel says that he trusts her and will always be there to support her.
Arriba. Como te dije antes, quiero estar en la luna contigo. Y allá quiero ir contigo.
Ashley tells us that she hopes that by getting out all of these frustrations early on in their relationship, that the remainder of their time together will be smooth sailings, and that she feels a soul connection with Manuel. Manuel does act like a child most times, but there are seeds that I see of maturity within him.
Tenemos diferentes idiomas, diferentes culturas, pero la comunicación es lo primordial si queremos seguir con esto.
The pair grab some ponchos and head over to get closer to the falls. They are enamored with the sheer majesty of those falls, and they ride that dopamine high right back into being hopelessly in love. Ashley says that she is getting so much good energy from the falls, and then they both shout out that they are happy and they are going to get married. Manuel says, "Oh, look how beautiful. We even got a rainbow."
What luck is this rainbow right now?
And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let them have that rainbow because they really need that rainbow to mean something. Guys, you're surrounded by mist and water in the daytime. Like, it would only be a sign if you didn't see a rainbow, but let's just let them have it. Now, we come to our final destination in Missouri with Sam and Citra. Last episode, Citra's family arrived in the States, and that's it. That's all that happened. Sam, Citra, and her family head to Sam's house to have dinner with Sam and his father. Sam's dad tries his best to say it's nice to meet them in Indonesian, which was a very sweet gesture. They head to the kitchen to eat some classic American food, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and some coleslaw. Citra's family's plate is literally, it's a single piece of chicken, a small spoonful of mashed potatoes, and a small spoonful of coleslaw.
You guys are gonna have to eat more than that.
I'm like, oh my God, you have to take them to like any big chain restaurant so they can see the portion size Americans normally get served. Sam tells Citra that it looks like her family is eating alien food. I'm like, yeah, dude, have you seen Indonesian food? Looks amazing.
American food doesn't really have so much flavor.
And it's all potatoes, apparently.
Sam's dad asks them how they are liking America. Herman says it is very far from Indonesia and the food is very different. AKA, it is not healthy, it is not flavorful. Herman asks Sam's dad how he feels about their upcoming marriage, and he sweetly says that the more he gets to know Citra, the happier he gets. He says that Sam has not always been responsible and he kind of felt like he was never going to mature, but he has been so different ever since he's met Citra.
It takes the right woman to make you get there.
Sam is a bit irked at his dad because he feels like his dad is pretty much outing him as a f***up, which is not helping his case in impressing Herman. His dad goes on to ask if marijuana is legal over in Indonesia for some reason, and Herman says that marijuana is illegal, possession is a felony, and it can result in up to 5 years of jail time. It is strictly enforced, and it is heavily frowned upon in society. After eating, Citra tells her sisters to go relax in the bedroom, and Citra and Sam sit down with Herman on the porch. Citra tells Sam to tell him about the diversion.
Well, like, how exactly? You're gonna translate?
Oh, you mean that thing that she's been doing this entire time to help you communicate? Yeah, she's gonna keep doing that. Sam says that he wants to be honest with Herman and nothing is more important to him than Citra. He tells Herman about the expired medication, getting into trouble, failing to file the diversion paperwork, and that he might go to jail. Herman is stone-faced throughout this whole thing.
Herman's got an amazing poker face. Stone cold, like no expression.
Herman asks what happens to Citra if Sam does go to jail, and Sam kind of doesn't answer. Herman says he's got no problem calling off the wedding, and if Sam loses his case and does go to jail, he is going to bring Citra back to Indonesia. He looks at Sam and says, if you ever do illegal drugs, I will never let you marry my daughter. And with that, we have come to the end of this recap. Thank you so much for coming along this ride while I lose my absolute shit at the audacity of some of these dudes. Anyway, I hope you guys had a great time. I cannot wait to see you guys for the next one. And as always, thanks for not letting me ride this train wreck alone. Bye.